Welcome back. You're watching the CNBC-TV18 special. Now, India may be a small market today for the Hilton, Hyatt and Marriott group of hotels. But the country, with its exploding middle class, rising disposable incomes, as well as growing inflow of tourists, is becoming a significant and strategic market for these companies. In this particular segment, the three hotel majors tell us how they are laying out a massive expansion blueprint in the country.
Hilton has a long history in India, but a relatively small presence in India given the scale. We have 5,000 hotels in the world with 1.2+ billion people here. We only have 16 hotels up and operating. We have another 18 in our pipeline. We've had fits and starts, honestly, in our business in India, but I'm here to tell you there'll be no more fits.
I was going to ask you that because your projection was about 50 hotels by 2016. And time and again, you've been quoted as saying that India is a rather strategic market. What were some of the key challenges that sort of altered this plan?
I think we got a slow start, and when we had a great goal of having 50 hotels by now, but the fact of the matter is, in the end, we're about serving customers well. And what we discovered is that in order to get there, we weren't going to do it by having the right hotels in the right locations with the right partners.
Hilton is present in India with 5 key brands. Would you look at bringing any of your other brands in your global portfolio, which has about 14, to India? Could we look at Waldorf Astoria or probably a Canopy or a Tapestry?
I think what we want to do is get those 5 right. I mean, it's not unusual. I think the big opportunities for us are really always to start with the core Hilton flag, because that's the most recognized hotel brand in the world. We also want to have luxury. India is a great luxury market, but it's a relatively limited luxury market. Correct. We will ultimately, I think, have Waldorf Astoria here. I talked to an owner this morning about a Waldorf Astoria opportunity, but I think first and foremost in the luxury segment, given we have a start with Conrad, we think that that makes the most sense. We'll ultimately, like everywhere else in the world, be the bulk of our growth. If you think about numbers of hotels, will be in the mid-market. And our big engines of growth in the mid-market all around the world are Hilton Garden Inn and the Hampton by Hilton. I'd say in the next 5 to 10 years, we want to have 100 hotels. Product and service to our customers.
So all the hotels that would be coming up in India would be management contracts?
Would be management contracts or franchise, a combination.
Okay.
We have, over time, looked at ways in which we can grow in a very deliberate way. That is our approach. We're not trying to be the biggest hotel company in proliferation, but rather be where our guests are traveling the most.
Could you lay out the specifics of that expansion plan for us, like in terms of the number of hotels that could be coming up and across what brands? Also, more specifically, you've got 6 brands in India, but would you look at bringing some of your other brands from your portfolio, because you have about 13 globally?
Yeah, there's no question. I believe that many of our other brands that are not present here, I think Ziva and Zilara, which are all-inclusive resort brands, do have a place in India. I also think that we have a collection brand known as the Unbound Collection by Hyatt.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I believe that the Unbound Collection actually has a number of different opportunities in India.
So 34 years is a long time. And we've seen a lot of development in 34 years, from 1 hotel to 26, and that to double up to 52 by, I think, about 2025.
In India, you are an operator in terms of having both owned properties as well as management contracts as well as franchise agreements, and it's a healthy mix of both. Do you think that this combination of having an asset-led model combined with management contracts and franchise is perhaps the best formula for growth?
Well, just to be clear, we don't really have an asset-led activity. It's we really have one joint venture that has 3 hotels out of the 26 that we operate.
Right.
So it's really quite modest in terms of our total presence. And at this point, I don't really believe that we're going to be expanding our ownership base as much as we are. All of the projects that we mentioned earlier, the additional 26 hotels that we will bring into India, are all under contract with third-party owners. Is
the inorganic route an area of focus for the Hyatt Corporation?
Well, we have made acquisitions in the past of selected brands and portfolios of hotels. And we continue to be conscious of what opportunities might exist in the world. The fact is that, we as a company are very focused on the high-end traveler cohort of customers. And so really that's the thing that will inform what we might look at in the future, is really looking at how we might expand that base of high-end customers and how we can serve them better and more differentially over time. So the answer is we will continue to keep our eyes open.
From my perspective, we have 84 hotels existing today operating. This year itself, we will cross the 100 mark in terms of operating hotels. And over the next 3 to 5 years, we would be targeting around 200 hotels in India.
So you have about 15 brands in India, as you mentioned, both under the Marriott and the erstwhile Starwood brand as well. Are you looking at bringing any of your international brands that do not exist currently in India, probably to India as you look for further expansion in this market?
So we're not close to bringing additional brands into the market. We do believe that our existing portfolio of brands has considerable opportunity for further growth, but we do see opportunities as we assess them, as our feasibility teams go into the market, review opportunities. If we see a right fit from one of the other 15 brands that Marriott has that are currently not represented in India, we would definitely bring those brands. So brands, for example, like Moxie.
What about these 15 brands that currently are represented in India? Which amongst these would be your focus brands, rather to speak?
From our perspective as a company, we see opportunities across the board. Where we will see additional opportunities is in brands that are in the mid-market and moderate price tier range, because as we extensively expand into secondary and tertiary markets, you typically would not put a luxury brand in that market. You typically go in with either a Courtyard by Marriott or a 4 Points by Sheraton, or a Westin, or a Sheraton, or a Marriott.
Could you help us understand how India stacks up in the larger scheme of things for Marriott International? What is the contribution of India to global revenues? And over the next 3 to 5 years, as you look to scale up to about 200 hotels out here, how do you see that contribution evolve?
So today, when you look at it, India with 84 operating hotels, on a global scale, we operate almost 6,000 hotels. So the numbers are small. But when you look at the growth in India, it is double-digit numbers year after year. India is shifted gears a little bit. If you ask me 2 years, 3 years ago, our economy here was sluggish, to say the best. There was considerable supply in the market. Those dynamics have now changed. So we genuinely believe that the next 3 to 5 year cycle in India will be quite robust, which then would demonstrate at least high double-digit growth numbers when we look at it year-on-year growth.
With that, it's a wrap on the CNBC-TV18 special. Thank you so much for watching.